Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm your friend yingshaoxo. For me, I indeed learned how to use the Unity to make a 3D game. But the Unity has its limitations. You could use it to make some native games. For example, a game that was running on the mobile phone or any desktop operation system. But it requires your user to install your game first. But for some platform, for example, the iOS, it asks you to upload your game to the Apple's platform, and to be able to upload your game to their platform, you have to pay their money. This is just one aspect. Another aspect is that they will try to check your game over and over again. This period maybe will take weeks. That's too long for you. And also for some individual developers, they do not have that much of money to give to the Apple Store. So what we could do is to, for example, upload our game to the Google's platform, the Play Store. It requires almost no money, and it's quite open. But again, the checking process would take too long, maybe 1 week. And also, a lot of users do not trust those individual developers. They think by installing those application or game that was developed by some nobody, then their mobile phone will have a high potential to get hacked. This is what they think. So how can we bypass this kind of situation? Well, one way is to just publish a website version of your application or game. But again, the problem comes, even if you could do such a thing, how can you get money from those application or game you developed? It's very hard, especially in China, because almost everything has to go through the government checking system. You have to do the registration, and trust me, for general people, for those people who have nothing, for example, have no money, they couldn't do such a thing unless you could start a company. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to get the payment system done in China. So how can you do that? How can you do it as a nobody? Well, it is simple. It is to use the Web3 technology. It is to use the blockchain payment system. So by doing so, you could bypass those authorities. You could make the payment as easy as possible for you as an individual developer. But the problem comes, if you use the Unity, it's really hard to get the payment system done because they do not have the JavaScript library. I mean, you couldn't make the Unity to interact with the MetaMask extension. So this makes the Unity become less attractive for me to make any 3D application or game. And I think this is what the Unity should work on in the next few months. Otherwise, nobody would use the Unity to make a game anymore in the future. At least most of the individual developers will not do that anymore. But that's not my topic today. The topic today is try to use the Three.js to make a simple 3D game that could be running on the browser while still be able to make interaction with MetaMask. I know they couldn't do that. I know they could be used to make such a thing, but for today's video, it will only focus on how to use the Three.js. So let's get into the document. When we get into its document, the interesting thing that I found is that we couldn't be able to collect the getting started link because it doesn't have link on that, which is quite strange. Why? If we do not know how to install it, then how can we use it? Okay guys, I suddenly found how to install it. As you know, the first link is creating a scene, which shouldn't be in the first, but the installation part should be on the top. So the order for those documentation is wrong for the Three.js. So stupid. Alright, back to the topic. So to be able to use it, first we need to install it, alright? Let me do that. Young 8 with Apache Lab. After that, let me try to import it. We need to also install the types for it. After that, it's working fine. Let me create a scene. Const scene equal to new 3.scene. Yes, we indeed could create a scene, but Will it change my web view? No, it will not. Let me draw in a line. How can we do that? Well, before I draw a line, let me say how can we create the text? Will it be complex than creating a line? I don't know. Let me just start from the simplest one, creating a line. Or we could start by creating a cube, because I don't know how to display this scene on the screen. This is what we need to do. See, how can we do that? First, we create a scene, that's okay. Then we can create the camera equal to new 3, that's perspective camera. 75 window inner width divided by window inner height 0.1 1000. That's a camera. And then we need to have the render. It's equal to new 3, that's WebGL render with the animation equal to true. Then we need to resize that rendering to an acceptable size. For example, the window inner width and the window inner height. And then we need to put that document or put that element right beneath the body tag. And after that, we should have the geometry equal to a box. And then the material which on that box should have a corner. Then we should try to create that cube with the mesh, which is an interface of that object. Then we need to add that object, the box, to the scene. And we could set the camera for a little bit. Camera equal to position 5. In the end, we should have a function. After we call it, let the animate equal to request animation frame with that animation, which is the function itself. And then for each time the cube will do some rotation, and the rendering will try to render that scene and camera. And then we have to call that animation function. Well, I think all those code should be existed inside of the unmounted function. Now if we do a refresh, you see nothing. After I restarted the whole project now, you could see something, right? And at the below, it is the Three.js rendering the cube. It's in the working state. It's in the rotation or in the rotating. Well, it is working, except that we should let it attach to a specific element. Okay, I seems to be found those methods for adding the Three.js rendering window to a specific element or DOM. What we could do here is first we need to get that reference. We get it by using the references, so it should be something like this. And after we get that, what we need to do is to first we need to make sure that element exists. So if that references that Three.js exists, we do the following. Otherwise, we could say if it doesn't exist, we will just do a return. Then we could get the element height, which is equal to the element not clan height but the offset height, and the element width, which is the offset width. And of course we need to get the rendering set up. It should be in here. The rendering equal to the WebGL renderer. How can I read it correctly? Let me just use the translator here. Renderer. And after that, we should set the width and height for this renderer. And then we need to add the renderer inside of the target element, which is the Three.js element append child. So I could call this add render. And then we need to, let's say, add a camera. If we want to add a camera, first we need to create a camera, right? And for this camera, it should be a perspective camera, 75, and the width divided by the height, which might be the ratio. But here we're gonna use a different heights, different widths and different heights. And we need to change the camera position Z for a little bit. I don't know why. Some people set it to 5, some other people set it to 400. Alright, then the next step is to add a scene. For this one, the scene should be equal to 3.scene. And then the geometry, it depends on what you wanted. For now, we will be only using the box geometry. For the material, we'll keep it the same. The mesh, we keep it the same. Then we add that stuff to the scene, which is okay. And after that, we got the scene set up, and it's done. To be specific, this scene shouldn't be in here. It should be at the top. This is the most important one. And after we got the scene, we should have the camera. This is the second important one. Secondary one. And the third one should be the rendering. No, we probably, oh, okay, let it be that. So this is the rendering. After that, we can add some other objects, to that scene. So this is a perfect order for the coding with the Three.js. And in the end, it should be the loop, because for the screen, you think that it is still, but actually it's not. It's in a high frequency refreshing for each frame. Right now we almost finished everything. How about we just go back? Well, you say that it's not working. Let me just try to do a refresh here. It's still not working. Why? Should I just stop this project and start it again? If I do so, it is working. So I guess for the Three.js to be work with a weight, there must have something else that we need to configure. Otherwise, it will not work. For example, when we change the code, the web page will not get refreshed. And even if we do the refresh manually, it will still not work. It will keep the old code running. The only way to make it work is to kill your old process and start it again. I don't know why this is happening, but this might be an issue for us. But what this says going, it says that no matter what kind of problem you meet, you solve it. Alright. And I did some search. I found no one have ever met this problem as I did. So let's just ignore it and try to do some more stuff than making a cube on the screen. That's not fun. How about we node a 3D model? Alright, it seems like we have to node this format of objects. That's the object it supports. We could get them from those editor for 3D models. But what we need is this one GLB file. I may just need a simple model. How about this one? Can I just download it? We have to wait for 20 seconds and then we could download it. It's about 34 megabits. That's too big. I just want some simple models that I could use to as an example for you guys. Will this one work for us? I don't know. We have to log in to be able to download it. Yes, we could download it. Here we got it. This file, it has 13 megabits. We could put it into the public folder. And then let me just try to import it. How can I do that? First, we need to create let's say add a car. If we want to add it, first we're gonna have a loader. GLTF loader. Why get this arrow? This loader does not exist on type of that. We have to import it from this. That's where the loader was located on. And then we could say loader.load the path to that file. For us, it can be as simple as car model.glb. And this should be it should have a callback function. For this function, it will give us the GLTF. I don't know its type yet. But we could say scene.add gltf.scene. Great, it seems like we just finished this. Let me see what can I do here. If I just comment out the cube and we do the same thing for the car. I don't know if we could do that or not. Let me try it. Let the car be a 3D object, or let it be a type of any. We could say car equal to GLTF, and in the end, if the car exists, we say the rotation. Alright, let me try this out. If I do a refresh, nothing happened, but if I kill that process and start it again, we see nothing here. We basically got some error here. It says that the car model is not found. Here we got the 404 not found. Why? It shouldn't be. Well, first we should get the URL, then we add that field name to it. This is how we get it. We use a window location with ref. Get URL without hashtag. Okay, it can be done as simple as this. Split it by using the sharp simple, and we will only get the first element of that array. So this is a base URL. After we get that, what we need to do is to add it to the string we have. Now if I kill the process and start it again, we still couldn't get that file, which is quite weird. It shouldn't be. Oh, I see. I should give it a backprox. How can I say that? Suffix. That's how we read it. We should add a suffix to that field len. Now let me try to close it and start it again. For this time, it indeed got that model file. But I didn't see the rendering somehow. Where's the problem? Well, maybe we should set the position and the scale for that model. No, I still couldn't see anything. It's probably because we didn't add the lights. So I'll just try to add some light to it by using those code. Oh, now I see the car, but it's too small. What we need to do is to do a scale. For example, we can set it to, how about we set it to 2? We scale it by 2. It's still too small. How about we scale it by 10? It may sound crazy, but I think that's reasonable. Now, let me try to do it again. Wow, that's too big. How about we set it to 5? Okay, I think this is fine. And what we need to do next is to make it rotate so that we could see those details. Oh, here we go. We got a rotating car. Sounds crazy. Looks crazy. Well, how about we change? How about we only change the y or the x? How about we change the x? Let me try it out. Well, that's not good. How about we only change the y? This looks better. We wanted to also change the y, but with a smaller value. See what would happen. This was okay, as I think. At least we got a car running in there. Alright. Let me go back to the tutorial. Say what we could do next. We could try to draw a line or create the text. But I don't think it's necessary to cover it here, since this video is already too big for a single video. If you are interested in those details, you could just go to those documents. I think for now, if you got all those codes that I wrote, and if you have heard all those talking that I tried to tell you, you probably already know how to do the development with the Three.js. It's not that complex if you have some basic understanding on the programming. Okay, so that's it. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!